recruiting is a team effort. It takes a lot of people and a lot of hard work to put a successful class together, from our academic support to compliance to our medical staff to our strength and conditioning staff, equipment, everybody up in the office, travel. Coaches are calling at all hours trying to change flights. And then certainly our coaches and our players do a tremendous job hosting the prospective student athletes when they come on campus. And we work together the way that we have really for 5 years now, but you have days like you did today, which I think was a good day for us. I think we filled a lot of needs. And you're never going to hit on everybody, every target, but we're excited about the ones that did decide to become UCLA Bruins today. We've signed 29 high school players. We're still working on a couple more that could come in here later tonight. Can't talk about those specifically. We've got a couple transfers that I can't speak about specifically, but when you look at the class as a whole, we filled a lot of needs, and so we're excited about it. And I just want to thank everybody who's involved, Katie, everybody, for their help, and it'll pay off for us in the long run. So, fire away.
You mentioned wanting to get bigger and add size. How much do you kind of want to doing that?
Well, I think we added some quality players that have some size to them, at positions where it's important. You talked about a guy like Jalen Starks, a running back, who's 245-pound running back, and Brandon Stevens, who's 6'2", 205, and he'll grow to 220. Those are big men. You talk about the guys along the offensive line with Paco and Mike, and obviously Alex has got some room to grow. And I can't mention the other guy, but we added some size there. And you look at the defensive line, at this point we've added 6 defensive linemen to the group, and they're all good sized guys with great size potential. And you look at the 4 linebackers that we signed, Mike and Breland and McKinney and Chris, and they're all big, good-looking, well-developed guys. So I think we added size, and we added quality size, not just size.
At tight end and fullback specifically, do you have the numbers you need for what you want to do next season, or is it still going to be a work process?
We will, yeah. We'll have a couple position changes that we'll announce in the spring. Some guys that are currently on our roster, and hopefully we'll have a couple more additions that'll help us. But that's a position that we have not emphasized a lot here in the last couple of years, the last 4 years, and it's going to be a little bit more of an emphasis. It's not like we're going to be, running the wishbone. We've got a pretty good quarterback in Josh Rosen, so we like him at least throwing it. But we do want to utilize fullbacks and tight ends, so we're going to have to build depth there from within, and then by bringing guys in either as transfers or as recruits.
Did the season that Josh had, did it make it easier to get some of those receivers in here?
Probably. Nobody referenced it specifically. I think where Josh helped was as a recruiter. He volunteered to host almost every week. He was a tremendous host, and he is a big name, and those players did know that he was a really great young player. And then when they got a chance to get to know him, see what kind of quality person he is as well, I think that's where maybe it helped more than just the fact that he was tremendously successful as a freshman.
It's difficult to project who might come in and have an impact, but if you could just maybe talk a little about a few guys that you think could, like Mike Warren.
Well, I think you're right. It is hard. It is hard. I think the first thing you have to do is think about who we lost, and so defensively, when you think about a guy like Miles Jack or Kenny Clark, 2 tremendous players, and then you're able to replace them with guys like Boss Tagaloa and Mike Juarez, and along with Kenny and those other guys. We'll see who steps up, Chris, and we'll see. But adding Nick Terry as a JC guy, Chicozy as a JC guy, that gives us some guys that could step in and play right away. Offensively, well, Jordan Wilson, the tight end's he's going to play right away because he's our tight end right now. And then our long snapper, our kicker, and our punter, they're going to play right away because they're our long snapper, kicker, and our punter. So, but you're right, it's hard to tell. You see where they are when they get here. I think that, you know, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players that will be here for spring ball. So those guys will certainly have a little bit of an advantage over the guys that come in the fall.
Usually recruiting is a long haul, but Brandon Stevens, I mean, that was what, a couple of weeks?
It was about 10 days, actually. It was just the luck of being in the right place at the right time. You know, I didn't thank the development staff at the start, but, you know, the fact that we were able to go out and raise enough money where we could at times utilize private aircrafts really helped us there. I was headed to Houston and got word that Brandon had decommitted from Stanford, and we detoured to Dallas, and I was able to go into his high school on a Monday morning early and sit down with him for a couple hours. And then as I was walking out of the hospital, out of the high school, happened to walk by a lady, and her eyes just looked like the kid that I just talked to, and we just kind of went back, sat down for another couple hours. If I'd have been 1 minute sooner, her 1 minute later, we'd have completely missed each other. And we just hit it off, and was able to talk him into coming here for a visit rather than an SEC school, and it worked out well. So it's timing sometimes, and this works out.
How much did the private planes help this recruiting cycle?
Well, you know, we have some tremendous donors that are really committed to this program, and they do that by many different ways. But their passion, you know, for this program is evident, especially when they, you know, come out of pocket to help us get around as a staff to visit these players. In today's recruiting world, if you want to recruit at the highest level, which we're trying to do, I don't believe it's possible without the use of private aircraft. There was days in this last 3 weeks where I was in, you know, 3 or 4 cities in a day, and there's just no way you could have done that. 3 or 4 states, there's no way you could have done that without the use of private aircraft. And you know, we're lucky that we have those people that are willing to do that, and that Josh that's willing to, you know, stick his neck out there and ask for it.
Well, you're getting a guy like Burton from Sarah. Do you feel like you're making inroads where you need to in Southern California?
Well, I think we've done well in Southern California traditionally. I think when you talk about Sarah, I think, you know, we all assume that that's just a stronghold for another program in this area. But, you know, we've done okay there, you know. But Brandon Burton is certainly a quality player. You know, he follows Jordan Lasley here, who's a quality player, and Dwight Williams, you know, who's a quality player who hasn't, you know, seen the field yet. But, you know, we don't. But we're going to recruit California hard, you know, Southern California hard, and we've had some success.
This is the 4th year in a row you've had the Player of the Year, or at least for the Times Player, the High School Player of the Year in the recruiting class. Have you noticed that players are, as you've progressed here as a program, have you noticed that players locally are even more receptive to UCLA as you've gone on?
Well, I think when you win, that helps certainly. When you play an exciting brand of football, which we have offensively, especially the last 4 years, and we've set every UCLA record, offensive record there is in the last 4 years. When you have a little bit of success against your cross-town rival, which we had up until this year, when you can promote an environment like UCLA, which is prestigious academically, it's a healthy environment socially, you know, people are drawn to that. I think the most important thing, though, is winning, you know, creating a winning environment. I think that we're doing that. We're not where we want to be. We're moving in the right direction, but I think over the last 4 years, we've tied that win total for most over a 4-year period. So we're moving in the right direction. We've got to hurry to get there.
Even with Josh Rosen, how critical was it to sign 2 or even 3 quarterbacks in this class?
Yeah, and I think it depends. You're speaking about Diamond as the 3rd Diamond League, who, you know, we'll list him as an athlete, but he's going to come in here and give it a shot at quarterback. He played well at Shamrock his senior year as a quarterback. You know, really the only 2 scholarship quarterbacks we had on our roster were Josh and Mike Faithful, and so we needed to add some quality players at that position. So going and getting Matt Lynch and Devon Modster, and then you know, having Diamond Lee with his tremendous athleticism and the way he progressed as a senior quarterback in here, I think will really help us. I think it was critical for us.
You closed really well in this recruiting process. What have you learned during your tenure, and how have you adjusted your game plan in those final weeks?
Well, you just, it's a marathon. I mean, the recruiting process a lot of times starts, you know, when these kids are freshmen or sophomores in high school. Sometimes it starts 10 days before. You know, it varies. The most important thing is trying to build a relationship based upon trust and that's mutually beneficial. You know, they're looking for something at UCLA, and we're looking for something in them as players and students and citizens. And it's just being persistent. It's continuing to nurture those relationships. It's really never giving up on a guy, and just continuing to build that relationship. It's really all about relationships. You know, you call it recruiting, but it's relationship building. And when you come to the point where both parties feel comfortable with each other, and there's a plan for success, then usually it works out.
Do you feel like you've gotten better at doing that?
As a staff?
Throughout the years?
Well, I hope so. I mean, you know, we will go back right after this ends and self-evaluate, do an after-action report on what we did well, what we need to do better, how we can improve, how we can adapt. We do that every year in every phase. So I would hope we're getting better, and I hope we get better next year as well.
What kind of impact did some of the staff changes have on recruiting this year? Kennedy moving to the offensive coordinator and Marcus and Rick?
I don't know that they had a tremendous effect. You know, most of the guys that we signed, we were in pretty good shape with all of them, you know, before the staff changes were made. I think anytime you can provide some stability, I think that's helpful, because I think it shows a commitment from the staff to the university, which is inviting to a parent, or it's inviting to a student athlete. You know, they don't necessarily like change, and we've been able to provide some stability here with the staff. And when you promote from within, you know, I think that helps you create that feeling of stability, which I, as a parent myself, you know, kids that have been recruited, it's tremendously important for me to know that the people that are recruiting them are most likely going to be involved in their lives when they get to that school. So I think just promoting from within and quality promotions from within really help us.
All right, thanks guys.
Thanks, everybody.